I'm doing good. So many people joining.
Yeah. Nice.
Let me just admit everyone in. Cool. This is the first time I'm trying out Zoom for the CNCF students group because it's much more easier to interact with people, so they can ask their questions and stuff, and we can then later on upload it to like YouTube or something after editing it. Because on YouTube live chat, the questions are not really answered as such. So this way people can unmute themselves and cool. Let me just share a quick reminder. How's it going, Brad? What time
Yeah.
is it over there?
It's 10:30 at night on Saturday.
Nice.
What about you?
It's like 6 p.m.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Just 1 second. Let me fix my headphones. Cool. I see so many students joining. That's nice. We just send one last tweet, then we can get started. All right. See a lot of people. Oops, there's so many in the waiting room.
Maybe while we're waiting, everyone can put in the chat where everybody's dialing in from, the location.
That'd be great. It's like I'm having like 5 desktops at a time. But before we get started, maybe you can just tell us a bit more about what people can expect from this session.
Yeah, sure. So things to expect from the session. We'll go over, this is for people that haven't really got into the DevOps engineer yet. So we'll talk a little bit about, if you don't have experience, how you can get a job as a DevOps engineer, what sort of certification that I recommend that you follow. Go through, study tips, CV tips, LinkedIn tips, GitHub interview, and just really in general, I hire a lot of people for DevOps engineers, so just share my experience of what I look for in engineers and where to get started.
Awesome. Well, I believe we can get started. We're already 3 minutes past. So cool. All right. So in order to ask questions, you can just raise your hand on Zoom, and then I'll put you on the stage, and you can ask your particular questions. All right. This will be available on YouTube afterwards, so it's going to be recorded. Let me just start the recording.
Recording in progress.
Awesome. That looks good. All right. Before we get started, if you could just turn on your webcam so that I can take like a nice picture of the grid for the socials, that'd be great. Only if you're comfortable with it. No pressure. Yeah. So basically, we're going to be just sharing it on socials and on YouTube.
Nice to see
See a lot of
everybody.
people. Yep. See a lot of people joining from various parts. So that's nice. Nice. Let me just go to the speaker view. And yep, now we can get started. So thanks a lot for joining, Brad. Really appreciate it. And we have like over now more and more people joining. I think we're going to cross 100. So super excited for this session. And thanks a lot for your time. So welcome everyone. And this is another meetup for the CNCF student community. And this is a really, important session, and a lot of questions I got related to this session by students specifically, like how do we get started with DevOps and what are the learning resources? How do we make a career out of it? So we have Brad here today with us. Who's going to be sharing all about it. And I believe Brad is also looking for some interns. So he's going to be sharing a little bit more about that. So what is like the intern role that he's looking for, and how do you, basically get started. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with this. So Brad, would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the head of cloud engineering at a company called Muller. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. My background is software engineering, and then probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I transitioned into DevOps. So, and then after that into management. So, been sort of working around the world from Australia, did some time in India and Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, San Francisco, and due to COVID now, I'm sort of stuck back in Australia. So be here, yeah, for a couple more years, I'd say. And yeah, working over all of the cloud environments like Azure, GCP, AWS, and been in the Kubernetes world for the last and the open source cloud native for the last 2 years. So yeah, that's a bit from me. And just thank you everyone for coming today. I hope you can get something out of it. And if there is anything that questions that you have afterwards, but please reach out to us. Yes, I'll just share my screen. I've got a few slides prepared here. Can everybody see that now?
Yep, it's visible.
Okay. So
and before we get started, I just want to share that if anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat, and you can also hold on till the end of the Q&A round so that you can just raise your hand and ask your questions by unmuting yourself. But in case in between you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Brad, take it away.
Sure. So yeah, what we're going to cover today. So we'll go over, where to get started when you're looking for DevOps. It's really, this is going to give information on providing fundamental things that you need. So we'll go over, first of all, discount links. So with each cloud provider, they have a lot of discount links. So I'll go over that. You can save probably about $200 on each cloud provider. I'll talk briefly about, you being here right now is like you're in the right place, because you're gonna learn so much from these amazing people in the community that are there to help you. So we'll talk a little bit about community. We'll talk a little bit about study tips, and then we'll sum it up by talking about CV tips, LinkedIn tips, and GitHub and interview tips as well. So this is related to a blog. So a lot of this information from the slides is in the blog as well. So that will give you, if you go to that website there, you can see all the links that I'll be having. So you can also take screenshots as well, or watch it later as it will be uploaded to YouTube. If I'm talking too fast for anyone, just let me know and I'll slow down. So let's talk about certs. So when you're starting in DevOps or cloud engineering, if you don't have experience, then what's going to set your CV, what's going to put your CV higher than other people in the screening process is certification. So ways we can get certified. These clouds, so GCP, AWS, and Azure. So generally, I'd recommend choosing one. So don't try and, if you're starting off, you don't want to just do a little bit of all of them. You want to really target one cloud that you like. Now, they're all good in different ways. I think AWS has about 80% of the market in cloud computing and jobs. But if you look at it like, that's not to say that you shouldn't study the other ones, because at the moment there's a lack of Azure engineers. So, you know, I would almost recommend at the moment going for Azure, because there's more jobs there that they just can't fill because they can't get people that have experience. And then on the other hand, there's GCP, where all the, you know, the startup, the innovative companies, they're going for GCP as well. So it doesn't really matter which one you choose. They're all just as good as each other. But I guess find one that you like. Like, the whole thing about learning is find something that you enjoy doing, and then you can, you know, go from there and have fun by doing it. So if we look at the GCP certs, so with each cloud provider, there's foundation certs. So the foundation cert doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really give you, you need to go one step higher than foundation. But what I found when I personally did it as well, is that foundation courses, it gets you in the study environment. So even though they're easy, it'll still prepare you for the type of questions that you're going to ask, the format that they do it, and that's going to sort of, it does contribute to your next one. Like, for example, we know we did the architect. So when I would only, you know, these do cost money as well, so you've got to keep that in mind. But it is a great investment into getting a job and into your career. It really shows the manager that you do know what you're talking about, opposed to just, you know, writing CV. So it does make the first screening, because, you know, when you apply for a job, you generally go through the same 3 screens. So the first one will be the recruiter. They don't really know too much technical stuff. They just know, okay, the manager has a tick box for, do they have certifications?
Brad, actually, the audio is a little bit not clear.
Okay. Is that better if I talk? Is it better if I talk there?
This is much better, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, thanks for telling me that. So, yeah, so that's GCP. You can, I would recommend doing the Cloud Architect if you want to go there.
We have some spammers in the chat. Let me just turn off screen drawing. How do we do that?
And for, I'll keep going while you do that. And for AWS, yeah, the foundation one is Cloud Practitioner as well. So that's quite an easy one, and that really gets you on the road as well. So if you do want to get into DevOps in the AWS space, then you could do the SysOps administrator or the developer, and then after that you could go to the DevOps engineer professional. So that's the certification path for AWS. You don't, I mean, if you have the associate, that's probably good enough to get your first job. And then if you still haven't got your job, you know, you can still go for more, you know, the more the better, but yeah, you probably only need to start with the associate. And then last one, well, for Azure, a good one to have would be Azure Administrator or Azure Developer. Now, the Azure ones are generally, they're a little bit harder to study, not so much technically, but they're very multi-choice questions. So there's a lot of memorizing. They're my least favorite ones, the Azure ones. But they're good to have at the moment because the market is quite short of Azure people. So you probably don't need to do the Azure fundamentals. I would probably, in this case, just go straight to the Azure Administrator or Azure Developer. And then you have obviously the Kubernetes ones as well. These are my favorite ones because they are very hands-on, and they actually, if you have the Kubernetes certified, I would deem that is very good, because I've done it myself and I know that it is difficult to pass. So those ones are also good. And then the last one that I recommend is Terraform. So in Terraform, if you know Terraform, it shows, you know, a lot of DevOps teams use Terraform. So you can use Terraform through, you know, all the cloud providers, and then as long as you know the language, it's very simple to implement new cloud services. So I highly recommend Terraform as well if you're looking for things to study. So in summary, pick a cloud that you want. Terraform's a good one to have as well, you know, as a base for those. And then just go to that middle level, and that should be good enough, you know, just to start really applying for jobs and going from there. And the next thing I wanted to talk about as well is community. Like I said before, like, you're in the right place here. This is where you learn some really great stuff, and there's a lot of people in there that, you know, really help, there to help you. Just some links. This is one that I really like here is the doc community. They have their Slack channel as well. They're always there to help you. So there's a lot of channels like beginner questions. There's jobs posted all the time, and also to the right here you'll see the cloud name, the CNCF. That's their Slack. If you're interested in getting into a project, then you can talk to people in there as well. So that's a great place to get into the cloud native space. And it's good to attend conferences as well to see how the trends are going. So yeah, there's early bird tickets available. That's for the next 24 hours. So $10, you actually get 50% off certifications. So you buy the ticket, you have to wait till you attend the event, but once you attend, they'll give you 50% off for CKD, CKS, CKADs. That's the Certified Kubernetes exams. So very good investment. You have a year to sit. So I recommend that if you haven't signed up for that, sign up. It's a great talk, and you'll see where the market's going with DevOps as well, and then to see how to align with your study and your preparation to getting your job. For study tips, I personally like Udemy. I also think Code Cloud's really good. So there's a guy, Munshap Manabeth. He does a really great job at explaining things. So he does all the DevOps fundamentals. So he does you know, things like Ansible, Kubernetes, Docker. He has lots of like really good simulators as well. And then there's obviously other ones like Pluralsight. There's a lot of things on GitHub. There's always deals as well. So keep an eye. I post them on Twitter as well when I see them. But you can generally get like, you know, 1 month free or one course free. Just look out for that, because these courses are expensive, but if you be patient, they will come up for free, and you can get some pretty good discounts there. So CV tips. So the best thing I can tell you for CV tips is don't put anything that you don't know. So I see a lot of people putting things on their CV that they can't actually do. I ask them a very simple question about it, and then it sort of embarrasses themselves. So it's okay that you don't know things, but try not to put things on it that you don't know. And it's going to get a much better response back. Think about milestones that you've achieved. So for each job, or, you know, maybe internship or program you've done, try and put the key milestones instead of, you know, just writing a whole list of keywords down, and that will be much better received by the hiring managers. And then for LinkedIn tips as well, if you're not active in LinkedIn, it's good to get started, because it is important when looking for a job. So recruiters like to see that you're starting the network, and start growing your network now. So, you know, there's a lot of people that if they have sort of the same interests and you want to connect with them, generally they will accept you. Don't, you know, go around spamming people. Yeah, but LinkedIn's good to start. So start growing your LinkedIn now, because for some reason, you know, people do look at that, and it is important. So it's good to get account set up there. GitHub. So this is becoming quite important as well. There's a lot of people starting to look at people's GitHub, seeing the code that they're committing, etc. A big recommendation I would say is I've seen a lot of people that they think that if they have more repositories that looks better, so they just go for random repositories and they have 200. That doesn't really impress me. So I think keep it short, keep it to projects that you're actually working on, and the ones that you can showcase. If I say, can you show me some code that you've done, it'll be easy to find it, and then we can see what you're actually working on. So GitHub's another one to start with, early off as well. So if you haven't got a user, sign up and start to learn, Git as well. And that's another one that will help you out. Interview tips. So each country, they sort of have different cultures as well. So if you are applying for a job, let's for example say you're in India and you want a job in Australia, because of COVID, that's getting easier. So just remember, people have different cultures. So I guess try and do a little bit of research into that, to sort of how to talk to people and see the ways of working they have. DevOps people, they're not really formal people, so you don't really want to wear a suit to an interview. If you wear a suit, they wouldn't, they'll probably sort of almost laugh at you. But I would say,
how was your first interview like?
Well, I think
one more thing. I can't seem to find the people who are talking about screen sharing. So there was some people who were spamming, so I turned it off. I can't seem to find that, and it's probably a good idea not to use Zoom ever for this. I don't know why people spam, but please don't. Would really highly appreciate it. For future sessions, we'll directly stream on YouTube. But Brad, thanks a lot for sharing, and we'll talk more about that. But related to questions, if you want to ask any questions, here is the Google form. Send in your questions over here, and I'll ask all your questions to Brad. Cool. Brad, you can continue.
Okay, sure. No, I forgot what I was talking about. So yeah, interview. Yeah, I think you asked me what did I wear. So I wore a little bit more formal for my first interview, because that was generally with a recruiter that's not like a DevOps team. And then a big key to DevOps is the culture. So the team wants to know that you fit into the culture as well. So just be yourself. You don't need to, to wear a fancy suit. Just dress how you want to dress. I had one guy in my team that used to wear shorts and Crocs to work. It was quite funny. But just try and be yourself, because one of I know it's different with COVID now, but they'll probably want to hang out with you, maybe do some peer programming, but just be yourself, and they'll like that a lot better. And then it's hard because there's a lot of different managers that have different methods, so you sort of have to learn to adapt. And the more interviews you do, the better you'll get. So even if sometimes you don't think you get a job, apply anyway, and that will, each interview you do, even if you fail, that's good because you learn. So a key thing into getting your first job is that failure is good. You should always be failing, because you won't improve if you don't fail. So that's with exams, with studying. If you fail a test, that's good. Go back and see how to do it again. Sometimes I fail fast, because then I know what's in the exam, and then I get a free reset. I can go back and I can actually do it faster because I've seen what's in the exam. So don't be put off. Just have a really positive attitude, and just keep going forward with it. And yeah. And what else can I say? That's pretty much it. Really, what I had to say. Yeah, if everyone has questions, please let me know. And I'm sure people have quite a few. Also, probably one other tip is a lot of DevOps is agile, so they use agile methodologies. If you don't know what it is, you should look it up. But they want it, if you haven't worked in an agile environment before, maybe doing a Scrum Master course would be pretty good, because it's relatively cheap. and it shows you that you can work to the ways that that those teams work. So doing the sprint planning, or working in sprints, it's just a different way of working, and that's generally how DevOps teams work. So I think when I go to the conferences in the US, probably a fifth of the talks are on Agile. So I probably recommend learning those ways of working. That will sort of, the team will like that because on day one chucked into an Agile environment. So it's good to know what that is.
Thanks for sharing, Brad. We do have a few questions here. So one question we have is, I am particularly, should I go for certification during my final year of college, or should I go for certification during a job?
Yeah, I mean, rarely certifications just to get the job, in my opinion. So you wouldn't want to throw out your you wouldn't want to fail your college exam by working too much on the cloud exam. So I would almost say just hold off that until you finish your degree or whatever you're doing. And you always want to get the company to pay for it. So that's why I was saying, don't do all the all the certs. You don't really need to. Just do that middle layer. Just get one of them. It just shows that you know what you're talking about on your CV. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. And we have so many questions. It's like really,
That's
I would have to
good. We've
filter
got
out.
lots of time.
Okay. So the next question is, how do we kickstart our journey in DevOps after having, let's say, some prior experience with some other field like web development?
Yeah, I think because DevOps is more of a senior role, so you do want to have some development base or at least ops. So you either want to be a developer or ops, and then aspire to be the other. So yeah, web development's always good. So any sort of development's good. Like they want to know that you can do at least sort of one programming language. If you know one, then you can pick up another one really easy. So Golang's really big, but that's a little bit difficult to learn for new people. So I recommend learning a bit of Python. Python is very easy to learn, and if you learn a library like Boto3 in AWS, you can do anything with it. You can interact with any service. So any development, like web development, is good. It's always good.
Yeah, that's true, because even though when we're seeing like so many domains, right, like mobile, machine learning, all of these things do have something like some sort of like products that use DevOps and like build tools and stuff. So I believe like having an open mind is crucial as a student, because in DevOps, if you see the CNCF landscape, that is like so many tools are available over there and people get really overwhelmed. So having an open mind to learn and explore is extremely important. Totally agree with that. The next question is, how would you compare, like how do the certification exams that you talked about, how do they compare with what people are actually going to do in the real world?
So I was just reading the question. Sorry, say that again.
Like, how would you compare the certification exams with the actual things that people need to do in the real world?
Yeah, I would say that they don't, doing certifications, they don't really compare to the real world. Like experience is always better. So like I said, like certifications to get your first job. So a lot of people go crazy trying to get certification, but I would say the Kubernetes, that relates to the real world. So a lot of that stuff, it relates completely to it. But in my experience, the certs, they're a base. Like everything's always done differently. So they don't match one-to-one to the real world, but they give you that base if you don't have the experience. So experience will always be better than certs. But if you're trying to get, this is about your first job, right? What we're talking about today. So if you don't have the experience, then you need the certs, and that's why they have value. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. Alrighty. The next question is, so when you are looking for someone to hire, what kind of projects would you expect from someone who is applying for a DevOps engineer position?
So what sort of projects that they've done
Maybe,
before?
yeah, their personal projects or something they worked on previously, anything.
Yeah. So for me personally, I mean, everyone's different, but I would like to, like, if you had a bit of Terraform experience, for example, I'm hiring someone on my team now. I need someone that has Terraform skills. So you can use Terraform anywhere. Like, you don't even have to work in Azure. So I think Terraform's a good one to have. If you spin up some infrastructure on the free account as well and just show that you can do that, and then in the interview you can talk about how you did it. So Terraform is a good one. I think anything to do with automation. I'm doing a lot of work on Argo CD at the moment. So, you know, if pretty much if you did anything in the CNCF, I would be pretty impressed, you know, but those sort of projects. But it depends what market you're trying to hit as well. You got to see, like, look at all the jobs posted in your area that you're going for, see what's required, and then sort of match around that. So there's a lot of stuff you got to do there. There's a lot of hard work you got to put. So see what the market wants and then cater it to that.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Brad. And next question is that this is an interesting one. So we have so many tools, like in DevOps field, we have so many tools that are coming day by day. How do you stay up to date with all these technologies?
Yeah, it's a very good question.
Yeah.
And that comes back to the community and getting involved, and you know, even LinkedIn, like newsfeed, you can see new stuff coming up. But I personally keep up with conferences, so I go to all the conferences. I go to the DevOps Summit every year, KubeCon, and I just see the new trends coming there. So yeah, just get out there, go to conferences, go to meetups like this, and yeah, but it's hard. It's hard.
Yep. Any resources you like to share that you follow to stay up to date?
Normally like Twitter, LinkedIn, newsfeed. I think, yeah, back to what I was saying before, I've grown that network on LinkedIn a little bit now, and I've got some quality feed. So I guess I sort of keep up to date there. But Medium's a big one as well. I read a lot of articles on Medium, and yeah, just social media and media in general. Yeah, I don't have a like website as such, but yeah, those are the ways I keep up.
Cool. Thanks a lot for sharing. And I just allowed you to send multiple submissions to the Google form. So if you want to send more questions, you can do that now. All right. Another good question we have over here is most companies need experience. So gave some interview because no experience in DevOps. What would you do? So most companies, like even for new roles, they're, let's say, asking for some experience. So how would you go about with that in the DevOps field?
Yeah. So don't be afraid to start small. So if you haven't landed a job yet at all, you can get a job that's similar to DevOps, but it's not quite. So let's say even like if you had to start in IT support and you worked your way up just to get that, you know, working experience. But it's a tough one. But you know, you can do, there's internships out there. You can also you know, there's a lot of CNCF mentee programs. So if you like a particular project, so if you like storage, if you like Argo CD, or so, like as you said, the landscape's massive. I would recommend starting in there, go into the Slack channels, just introduce yourself. People will talk to you straight away, and that will help build up, you know, a little bit of experience. But it is tough because, yeah, I would say internships, community, and then just don't be afraid to not start off as a DevOps engineer and just work your way up to it.
Thanks for sharing, Brad. And the next question is that if you're talking about internship opportunities for students in the field of DevOps, what does that internship opportunity look like? What are usually like the roles and responsibility of an intern, since they don't seem to have that much of an experience already?
Yeah, so I guess for the internship that I'm after, I want people to have at least a base in something. So to give some value, like I don't have time to just have someone that's completely green. That, you know, like maybe if you have a passion for programming, or if you just have some value. So if you knew like Golang, Terraform, Kubernetes, or if you're quite good at like a particular cloud, that's what I would look for. So really just, and I guess that this comes back to one thing is choose something that you like and you're good at. Don't try and be like a jack of all trades and know a little about a lot. So really specialize in one area, and I think that will help. Yeah.
Cool.
I hope that answered the
That was
question.
yep, I believe so too. That was a very good answer. Thanks for sharing, Brad. And the next question is, someone says, I'm particularly interested in Google suite of products and feel like going for their cloud program. Can you again recommend the certificates by Google which are good?
Yeah. So back to my, let me see. So for Google, just the cloud architect in general is good. I think that's a good base. Google give you $300 to play around with as well. So yeah, the $300 is that it's what we were talking about, the difference between certs and experience, and I think with that $300 that gives you enough money to make something cool. So that's your, just go in there and play around, like it's free. So and you can do the cloud architect, and that's enough. So yeah, I would recommend doing that cloud architect for Google, and there's a lot of great resources and scholarship programs as well for there.
Cool. Thanks for sharing. So Cloud Architect 1, do check it out. I believe that answers the question. Another question is also related to certifications. Any comment on how to give priority to the certifications? Actually, there are a lot of those available in the market, and almost everything is like, quite a lot of money. So how would you recommend going for which one?
Yeah, back to what I said before, look at the market that you're applying in. So search DevOps engineers in your area, or some of these are remote now, but see what they want. If they're saying they want, if there's 20 jobs for Azure and there's 10 for AWS, to target Azure. So also, doing internships, they, I would pay for those certs as well. So that's one way to get it. But I know they're a lot of money, but you should always go forward and invest in your career, because DevOps pays the most money probably out of any job around at the moment, I think, and it's in demand. There's not enough people. So I know they're expensive, but maybe next time that you're out and you're buying something you don't really need, think, okay, let's spend this on the cert, and then we'll get the job, and then I'll buy 2 of those after. Yeah.
That's a good ideology. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. All right. That was good. Thanks for sharing. We have so many questions, Brad. I hope you don't mind.
No, I love it. Yeah, please. Yeah.
So the next question is, currently working on Azure, Terraform, and Ansible topic as a system administration role. I would like to know more of your advice to become a DevOps engineer. What other skills are should I be working on to get enhanced?
Yeah, I think you're already already there pretty much. If you're working on Azure, Ansible, Ansible is really good to learn as well. It's really good to have that base Linux. Like if you don't know like basic Docker and Linux, then learn it, because some people try to just go to the top fast. Start from the bottom, work your way up. Don't be afraid to start basic. Don't be afraid to say that you don't know something. I would say maybe it sounds like you need a CI/CD like Jenkins or Argo CD, Azure DevOps. Maybe it sounds like you need a little bit more experience in that. So I would download it on your computer and just play around. Just start learning that, and then I think that you're already there. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Brad. The next question is, they say that developer experience is necessary before you work efficiently as DevOps, particularly for your first job. So how much is the developer experience relevant? And is it fine if we do developer internships as some prior experience and then later on go for a DevOps role?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I personally love to hire people with a development background, so that will never hurt you learning development, because yeah, if you're deploying these applications, they're gonna break. They're gonna have things going wrong. So you need to know how to fix them. And I mean, and saying that, like, you can get away with not knowing development, but if you've done an internship in development, then that's a great start. You could probably just, if you haven't done a little bit of cloud upskilling and learning, so maybe I'm going to stop saying cert so much, but let's say study, like if you study study cloud, then you're already there. You know, it's very easy as a developer to pick up, you know, all the DevOps things, because it's just YAML files, and if you've already done, you know, complex coding, then it's easy. So I guess, yeah, you have to show the recruiters that, you know, look at the keywords. That what I might do is give a list of keywords that recruiters look for in DevOps roles, and I'll post them back to you. Look at a few of those keywords and then try and get those into your CV, and that will help you go to the next level.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. And the next question is that I basically, you know, someone is saying I did not do much in university. So sometimes, like, like the university did not give enough opportunities. For example, like spent most of the time in like assignments and basically didn't get much real world experience. Speaking of like internships and stuff. And now when they are trying to apply to various roles, they're like getting rejected by HRs and stuff, right? So what would you recommend to someone who is in this particular position?
Yeah, so someone that's just come out of uni or been in uni and they haven't got experience, I would say, yeah, you know, jump on your computer and then start learning. Like that if you really want to be a developer, like you've got to spend a lot of time on the keyboard. So find a project that you like, or something you might want to do for fun, chuck it on GitHub, and then start solving those problems, and just start seeing what, you know, programming you like. You might not even like DevOps, you know, but you got to start learning and practically learning on the computer as well. So yeah, start GitHub and start a project and start doing some study on cloud, etc.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. And the next question is that I'm a Microsoft certified DevOps engineer, and I am learning different skills as well. It would be helpful if you could share some insights about um, like what sort of projects should I be working towards to get some DevOps related roles.
Yeah, that's really good that you've got that already. I personally would probably go for Terraform, because a lot of the DevOps, a lot of it is infrastructure as code. So if you can show that, you know, you can do infrastructure as code, you can lay all the infrastructure out. That would be the next step that I would take. Then you can do like application configuration, like Ansible, Puppet, you know, those things as well. So yeah, I think it's good you've got a good cloud base, and then maybe try and get into maybe Kubernetes, and that's a little bit more complex to start first, but you could probably do like Azure DevOps, you know, Jenkins, those sort of things, and just learn the concepts, because they're all the same. Like all the CI/CD tools do the same thing. They're just like another program. So, you know, and I think one key thing, like the key things, if you don't know Git, learn it, because you need that. Like you're not going to get a job without it if you don't know Linux. A lot of developers probably don't know Linux. At least know basic Linux. Like you need that these days, and you'll be fine. Yeah, and learn one scripting language.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. And another question is, can you tell us a bit more about your first role as a DevOps engineer, be that like an internship or your very first job?
Yeah, so, and this maybe comes back to a few of the other questions about, you know, the development. So I started as a software engineer. It was very easy for me to go over to the cloud team, because they were sort of more ops guys, so they didn't really know how to do scripting. So I was a big like uplift there, because I could do a lot of the automated tasks and scripting, and we had like a self-service program that I did. So there was an opening in the team. I talked to the manager, and then yeah, he accepted me into the team, and then we were working in AWS, and then I just spent every day in AWS, and every day I learned more and more and more, and And then I became the manager afterwards as well. So worked there for 3 years. It was really good.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. And see, a lot more people have joined. So I'll just share the link again in the chat in case you are interested in asking any questions. Let me just share it again. Cool. Got one more here that says, how can I use DevOps tools for planning infrastructure? Like using Terraform, I can create a stack, but where can I find which stack or infrastructure is good? Any examples or recommendations of either like the tools or where to learn more about software architecting using various DevOps tools?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Normally with the clouds, they have something called well-architected review. So what that means is like AWS or another cloud, they will give you recommendations on the documentation to say this is a solution that you should do, and generally the solutions are all the same these days. You have a website, you have a data store like a SQL database and NoSQL, and you have an API, whatever that API might be. So generally the solutions are all pretty much the same. So maybe afterwards I can find some documents and send them to the group, but just search keyword, well architected design patterns, and you'll start seeing those come up as well. And then some of the certs have those as well that they have you, but yeah, I guess just look online. It's sort of the official documents, and they will say like, if you want to do a high available architecture, that will show you the architecture diagrams on there. So I can also provide some diagrams of, if you have a more specific question, I can provide a diagram of what I think the architecture should look like. So just reach out to me over us, and I'll send them some docs. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. And the next question is, so in the DevOps, thing, like the DevOps ecosystem, there are many domains. So you have like your monitoring part, you have the build part, and you have like the deployment part and all these things. So how would you go about, because you mentioned, be good in one particular thing, for example. So how would you go ahead deciding which path would be best for me?
I think for me personally, pick the path that you like the most. So have a go at all of them. See, like, if you have a passion about something, you'll stay up all night and you just want to keep doing it. You love it. So whether that's, if we look at some of the pillars of DevOps, we have, you could be a Scrum Master. You don't necessarily have to be technical to be in a DevOps team. You could start off as a Scrum Master doing all the agile processes. You could do the infrastructure as code, cloud formation, ARM templates, Terraform. You could do the automation scripts. Pick the one that you like the most, and then just really study that. If you want to be, SRE, and you like the monitoring, etc. Yeah, I would just say, yeah, you'll know which one that you like the most, and then also going back, look on the jobs available, see what ones that they're looking for, because rarely to land your first job, it might not be the one that you like, but choose the one that people are after. Don't choose the one that everyone already has. Try and sort of stand out and do something different.
Thanks for sharing, Brad. And the next question is that how will you approach, like for a particular project that needs to have DevOps implemented? So where do we actually start if you want to implement DevOps in a particular project?
Yeah, so it depends. A lot of companies are siloed, so they work in silos. But really you want to implement DevOps right from the start. So you want to be planning it with a development team, planning out what apps they're making, what problem they're trying to solve, and then going from there. So you work very closely with them. You do all the infrastructure for them, and you really just get the pipelines going straight away, and then you get security and the monitoring. DevOps is something that, it's not really a tool set. It's it's a sort of a paradigm, like a way of working. So it goes through every single process throughout the delivery of that application.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. The next question is, which is your favorite DevOps tool? If you could just choose one.
Good question. If I could use one, I would probably say Terraform, because you could almost do everything in it. I like Kubernetes. I probably Kubernetes, I reckon. I mean, it's not really a DevOps tool, but it's a scheduler. But yeah, I like Terraform, Argo CD, yeah, and Golang.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. The next question is, what's the difference between like the DevOps architect and a DevOps engineer?
Yeah, it's a funny question, because it's not a funny question. It's I'm seeing that at the moment because I have a lot of people applying to go on my team, and then they're saying they want to be an architect, or and they don't even know what that means. So it's a bit of a buzzword to me in one way. I mean, if you're architecting solutions for DevOps, then you should probably know how to do them yourself. So I guess you want to start off as an engineer, learn how everything works, and then I guess you can architect. I guess it's more of a senior role, but in all of my teams that I've had, each team has been 7 people, so no one's wanted to call themselves an architect. They just want to be a DevOps engineer or DevSecOps engineer. I think for me, it's a bit of a buzzword in real life. Like, I don't think there's one person that just goes and draws pictures and then they expect someone else to do it. So, but I'm sure in some companies that is some sort of thing. So I guess the bigger enterprise companies, they have more architects for that, because they can have more people. But yeah, it's a good question.
Thank you for sharing. And let's see the next question. Let me refresh real quick. Question. I believe we answered all the questions. That was nice. Cool. Alrighty.
Do we have any in the
yeah.
chat that we haven't? I'll just quickly look.
Nope. I saw in the chat, and all the ones were similar to the ones in the responses. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for sharing, Brad. And I see we're above time as well, almost 50 plus minutes. So if you would like to just share a bit more about your the internship role that you mentioned previously.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So the internship role we're starting up. So it's not just one role, so it can be a couple of people. But yeah, like I said, like, unfortunately for this one, I can't have like a really, really junior person. So I do need some, sort of base skills in something. So what we'll essentially we're working on is the CNCF project. So it'll be, you'll get experience in Terraform, Kubernetes, Helm, Golang, Argo CD, and then deploying apps as well. So I know that's quite advanced and hard to know, but if you do know something to do with that, or want to learn, just reach out to me and send me maybe your CV, and we can go from there. Someone asked, Karen asked, what's the payment? I haven't finalized the payment yet, but there will be a form of payment. It won't be massive, but that'll pay for any certs and stuff you want to do as well. Also, I'm working on a project at the moment with the CD Foundation. So if anyone here is welcome to come. So that's a project called Ortelius. We're doing a lot of GitOps research at the moment. So why that's good, we're building a white paper on GitOps and microservices. So you can have access to like Kubernetes clusters and stuff, if you don't have money to spin them up yourself. So there's two sort of two sort of forms to this. So you can either come and work on the open source project. That will be for free, but you'll get like access to Argo City, etc. And then or Telius, I'll write it in here. Sorry if it's not clear.
That makes sense. Maybe you can also share this. Does anyone know what is Cloud Study Network?
I seen it on LinkedIn.
A Cloud Study Network, the YouTube channel. Did you share something, Brad?
Yeah, everyone's saying no, they haven't on the chat there.
Okay, are you aware of it? Because this session is being streamed over there for some reason. So I thought it was is it your community or someone else's? Because I didn't allow this thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, then this is some other cloud channel that is streaming this. I mean, no worries. They have some like they've given some other CNCF and stuff, but no worries. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So regarding the internship stuff, Brad, do you have like any action item for the students who are watching, like where they can follow up, or basically like some other prerequisites that they can maybe look into in the future and reach out?
Yeah, just please reach out to me, either probably LinkedIn or Twitter or however you want to. I'll send my name. My name is Brad McCoy, Dev for pretty much everything. So you'll be able to find me. I think on LinkedIn, and the link is there as well. And like I said before as well, if you don't think that you can apply anyway, and at least that'll get some. You can have an interview with me, and I can give you some tips there. But I will try and cater for as many people as I can. So don't be put off by I said that you do need some experience. I'm happy to help people learn as well. I think someone's asking for the link. Let me find it and I'll post it in the chat. So just reach out and we'll see from there. I'm trying to help as many people as I can, and there it is. Yeah. And we can have a follow up on it maybe as well. Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got it. I don't. Let me just see. Okay. Yep. Brad shared that, so that is great. Let me share the LinkedIn. Cool. All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining, Brad. It was great. We got like 50 plus questions answered. I was counting. Like it was actually listed in the Google form how many we answered.
Oh, nice.
That's really amazing and very cool, very cool. And thanks a lot for everyone else who joined and asked really good questions. These are like really fundamental questions. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next session. And once again, thanks a lot for joining, Brad. A really insightful session. Learned a lot, and I believe people might have learned a lot as well. Cool. Well, thanks a lot for joining. And you have any closing remarks for the students?
Yeah, just reach out to me if you have any more questions. I'm always here to help. I like coaching and mentoring people as well, and looking forward to us doing another session maybe down the line as a follow-up to this as well. Yeah, and thanks everyone for taking the time.
Alrighty, cool. Thanks a lot for sharing, and thanks a lot for giving us the shout out. And you can share about it with your friends and join the CNCF student community. We have some nice, awesome meetups coming up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Yep. Thanks everybody.
Recording stopped.